If you haven't read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I'd encourage you to do that. Irrespective of what you think about whether it is fact or fiction, as some people say, the lessons in there are excellent. And I've talked about this once or twice before, that 2 or 3 years ago I received an email from someone who I met as he was a bartender, probably 30 years ago. He went on after we had a chat for most of the evening and closed the bar, and then I stayed around and played pool and we talked business. He was just a young college kid. And one of the suggestions I gave to him was that he read Think and Grow Rich. And when he emailed me, he said he didn't know if Think and Grow Rich was the only reason, and in fact I'm sure it was not, but that he read that book every year. And when I got his email, as I say, 2 or 3 years ago, he talked about how he had sold out to private equity. So it turned out to be a very successful venture. But reading Think and Grow Rich didn't hurt him, that's for sure. And he did that every January. So, as Napoleon Hill said, people who do not succeed have one distinguishing trait in common. They know all the reasons for failure and have what they believe to be airtight alibis to explain away their own lack of achievement. Some of these alibis are clever, and a few of them are justifiable by the facts, but alibis cannot be used for money. The world wants to know only one thing: have you achieved success? A character analyst, I suspect that was either Napoleon Hill or someone he employed, compiled a list of the most commonly used alibis. As you read the list, examine yourself carefully and determine how many of these alibis, if any, are your own property. Remember, too, the philosophy presented in this book makes every one of these alibis obsolete. And again, you're talking about Think and Grow Rich when he says that. So let's go through Napoleon Hill's 57 famous alibis, better known as excuses, by Old Man If. If I didn't have a wife and family, if I had enough pull, if I had money, if I had a good education, if I could get a job, if I had good health, if I only had time, if times were better, if other people understood me, if conditions around me were only different, if I could live my life over again, if I did not fear what they would say, if I had been given a chance, if I now had a chance, if other people didn't have it in for me, if nothing happens to stop me, if I were only younger, if I could only do what I want, if I had been born rich, if I could meet the right people, if I had the talent that some people have, if I dared assert myself, if I only had embraced past opportunities, if people didn't get on my nerves, if I didn't have to keep house and look after the children, if I could save some money, if the boss only appreciated me, if I only had somebody to help me, if my family understood me, if I lived in a big city, if I could just get started, if I were only free, if I had the opportunity, if I had the personality of some people, if I were not so fat, that's funny, if my talents were known, if I could get a break, if I could only get out of debt, if I hadn't failed, if I only knew how, if everyone didn't oppose me, if I didn't have so many worries, if I could marry the right person, if people weren't so dumb, if my family were not so extravagant, if I were sure of myself, if luck were not against me, if I had not been born under the wrong star, if it were not true that what is to be will be, if I did not have to work so hard, if I hadn't lost my money, if I had lived in a different neighborhood, if I didn't have a past, if I only had a business of my own, if other people would only listen to me, if, and this is the greatest of them all, I had the courage to see myself as I really am, I would find out what is wrong with me and correct it. Then I might have a chance to profit by my mistakes and learn something from the experience of others. For I know that there is something wrong with me, or I would now be where I would have been if I spent more time analyzing my weaknesses and less time building alibis to cover them. Boy, is that ever true. So I would suggest that you take that list, write it down, or at least listen to it again, and just tick off how many of these were excuses that fit you. And if you can work on those and get them out of your head and focus on correcting the problems that you have, you will be far more successful, as Napoleon Hill has outlined so well in this. So if you're on my mailing list, great. If not, go over to brucewhipple.com and grab any of the free materials. If you want to go directly, go.brucewhipple.com/free class, and you'll be on our mailing list. And you might as well go through that free class while you're over there as well. brucewhipple.com has everything that I do, free, paid, group coaching, etc., and boot camps.